So given all that we've talked about so far, this helps us to start to think about levels of response, type of response, and the nature of response. For control, they need to almost carry out a situational triage assessment and understand, from that initial gathering of information, is this time critical, or is this something more routine, and what are we being asked to actually contribute to this incident. So the level of urgency and the nature of the task is really important. And then there are different levels of response that we might advocate. So the first one may be that advice is given, a situation that requires control to give advice, or it may be that control might ask for someone else's opinion, maybe a specialist in a species or an incident type, in order to consider the most appropriate resources for that specific incident. There are other situations, maybe legal considerations will come into it. So rather than deploying resources straight away, there may be some more information that needs to be gathered. And then initial responders, we can actually achieve quite a lot with an initial responder. So we need to think about whether this is a low risk animal, a not very complex incident. It's a situation where another agency may be asking for our assistance. Now, it may be deemed that it's appropriate for an initial responder to deal with that. They may already be on the scene and have identified an animal component. And again, if it is within their skill sets, then we should understand what is within the capabilities of our initial responders. And then thirdly, we would then elevate to an advanced responder where the complexity of the situation or the technical skills required to work in the environment or carry out the task mean that we need to have a specifically trained team to deal with that risk or that environment. And that might also relate to things like animal evacuations. So given the information, control can then decide whether to mobilise single or multiple resources from internal to our organisation, or calling on expertise from outside of the fire and rescue service through potentially the community asset register that may be available to acquire the right resources for those specific foreseeable incidents.